Hi, this
There
is
we
Paul
go.
Hoyt, CEO of Ascending Harvest, welcoming you to our daily project update. I'm here with my best buddy, business partner, friend, resident genius in our business, Shane McKenna, bringing you our daily update on the Ascending Harvest project. And oh boy, are we ever excited today. We want to talk to you a little bit about where we are in the company and the rollout, but then we got a very special guest that I'm going to introduce here in a couple of seconds. So say hello to everybody, Shane.
Hello, everybody. Glad to see you today. Hope that you're having an awesome day.
Yeah. Are you having an awesome day, by the way, Shane?
I am. It's been a great day. I almost didn't make it to our live Zoomcast, though, because I was busy answering questions that came across in different formats that we were on. So that was fun.
So I know that you get a lot of questions, and I think we just decided that tomorrow we're going to answer a lot of those questions, right?
Yeah, tomorrow we're going to dedicate a show to questions and answers. Over the last few weeks, there's been a lot of questions, and some of them have a common theme. So we're going to address those questions in our Zoomcast.
That sounds a lot of fun. But first, we got a lot of progress to report here. The biggest progress, of course, is that our crowdfunding campaign is launching on Wednesday, September 19th. That's less than a week away. I'm jumping on an airplane and heading to Salt Lake City next Tuesday afternoon. Shane swears he's got a place for me to stay. But I'm really looking forward to working with him and the team on Tuesday evening, and then all day Wednesday when we launch it. And then Wednesday night in Salt Lake City is our launch party and silent auction. You know, think about joining us. We've got it all over our website at ascendingharvest.com. There's a click on the launch party link there. Sign up, come have a great meal, meet some fantastic folks, and support us in the launch of our crowdfunding campaign, which will be the next stage, like a first stage booster in taking this rocket ship, off the launch pad, taking and getting all these great products to market. So join us in that. If you are a sponsor or you're interested in being a sponsor, make sure that we have your information. Give me a call, and we'll include you in our silent auction and raise a little money to help get this crowdfunding campaign kicked off the way that we really want it to. So awesome. I think that's the biggest update that I have. Most people should have gotten an email yesterday or the day before with the announcement of the party and the 1 week to go. Again, what we really want you to do is contribute a buck or two, of course, but what we really want you to do is share information about the crowdfunding campaign with your social network community. Shane and I have known each other for 6 or 7 years, and I used to think that we knew a lot of the same people, but as it turns out, there's only like a 5 or a 10% overlap in between the number of people that he knows and the number of people that I know. So that means that we don't know anybody that you know. And the only way those people are ever going to hear about our crowdfunding campaign is if you share the information with them on the day of launch. So please think about doing that. It'll be a blessing to us, a blessing to our company, but more importantly, a blessing to all of those families that we're going to serve with our human-powered hydroponic systems. Right now, there is 1 billion people in the world who suffer from malnutrition, who don't get all the food that they need. And we think we can make a huge dent in that. We think we can go a long way to fixing that with the systems that Shane has invented. We need your help to make that a reality. So be thinking about that.
Thank you for that great intro, Paul. I'm so excited about our show today because our friend and generous sponsor, David Fox, is with us. And I don't know what we're going to talk about, but I'm sure it's going to be a lot of fun.
I'm going to bring him on line right now and promote him to be a panelist. You'll start to see him on his screen very soon. As I was talking to Dave earlier, hi, Dave. How you doing? Oops, hang on. I got to unmute you. That's going to help. Try that again. Hi, Dave. How you doing?
Hey, Shane. How are you guys?
Fantastic.
Awesome.
I was talking to David a little bit earlier about the importance of marketing. Yeah, I wrote a book in 2004, not 19, but 2004, called The Foundations of Business, that talked about different functional areas in a business and the relative importance of those areas. And, number one thing is leadership. You have to have a very clear vision about what it is you want to accomplish, why you're doing it, and where and how you're going to do that. But the very next step is marketing, is really understanding how you can relate to your marketplace and bring value to your marketplace. And you can have the best leadership in the world, but if you don't have a good idea of who your customer is and how to communicate the value that you intend to bring to your customer, well, you're just flat not going to make it in business. And that's why marketing people are some of my very favorite people to work with, because they know so much that I don't know. So David, with that intro, welcome to the call today. It's really great to hear you. Why don't you take a couple of minutes or so and talk to people about who you are and the business that you have, and how is it you came to be an expert in marketing?
So thanks for the great introduction, Paul. I mean, honestly, I rarely hear people say, hey, I love marketing people. Here's a marketing person I love. Mostly it's like, oh, marketing people, crap. To talk about marketing. For me, net marketing was a necessary evil. I worked in retail for years, and then through a series of events, became the marketing guy for a private investor group in Denver. These guys were wealthy, they had made money, they had made a lot of money in business, and they were investing a couple $100 million primarily in startup companies and in projects of interest. And typically they would buy a company and they would come to me. And I had a marketing background and a marketing degree, and I'd done some marketing, and they would say, hey, we just bought this company. We need it to make money. Can you figure that out? And I'm looking at these guys, and the one is the chairman of a publicly traded company. These are interesting people. And I would be like, I'll give it a shot. And so 4 years of that, really learning from, I think, some super brilliant people and watching how they marketed and sold businesses and how they raised money and what they invested in and what they didn't invest in and what succeeded and what failed was great education. I've got degrees and all of that, but to me, my education was working for these guys and learning about business. My real education came when I owned my first business. And then I started wasting my own money on marketing. And doing marketing that failed. And honestly, it was a home improvement company that I bought, and I started doing all the things you're supposed to do. And honestly, most of it just tanked. And it didn't work. And we were super lucky if we broke even. And, it was at that point that I really started studying marketing and figuring out what works and what doesn't, why. And honestly, what I figured out is that something like 80% of marketing is just total crap. It doesn't work at all. Yeah. There are a lot of products out there, a lot of tactical products. And when a lot of companies ask me about marketing, they say, well, should I be doing web or SEO or PPC or Facebook ads? I mean, what should I be doing? And my answer is often, I have no clue. Maybe you should be doing none of it. It depends.
Wow. So what are the marketing mistakes that you see that are really common marketing mistakes? Because like you, I have my own business and have had other businesses in the past, and I've spent a lot of money that didn't get me any traction.
Totally.
And so I'd love to hear what you think are some of the biggest mistakes that people make in marketing.
So I'll talk to you about two that I'm very passionate about, honestly, because I feel like if people understand marketing and they understand how to use it in their businesses, it can completely revolutionize their lives. In fact, we did a strategic plan for a Denver-based company about 5 years ago. And this company, implementing this plan, has gone from $800,000 in revenue to $18 million in revenue.
Wow.
And we've done it by simply removing the roadblocks and by spending money on the things that would actually get them an ROI and then holding those things accountable. And the things that didn't work and that couldn't be held accountable, we got rid of. And so by just focusing on the highly accountable stuff that we could say, okay, look, does this produce an ROI? We've been able to skyrocket their growth, which I think is very cool. And we have, I have lots of other examples like that. But to me, the big issue with marketing is, it's like building a house. what do you do when you build a house? The truth is, a lot of people, when it comes to marketing, do the equivalent of going down to Home Depot, buying a bunch of stuff, dragging it back to their lot, glass, nails, roofing materials, concrete, and then they start throwing it together. And when it doesn't work, when they don't get a house that keeps the rain off their heads, they go, oh, building doesn't work. And it's really an equivalent to marketing. I mean, people well and truly throw crap at a wall and hope and pray that something sticks. And if it does, they're perplexed when they can't get that result to happen again. And the reason why is because it's called slot machine. It's not like you have a system and a process. It's not like you really understand your target market. It's like you threw some stuff at a wall, something came in, and you went, oh, it works. Do it again. But then you don't get lucky again. And so you wind up with passionate people who have something that they love to do. And they're great at this thing, but they just can't attract and convert the people who will understand what they do, will pay the price they ask, will refer other great people like them, and ultimately won't be a big pain in the neck as clients because they'll be appreciative and they'll actually get it. I mean, I don't know, Paul, you've been in business. I mean, is that kind of your opinion of an ideal client?
Well, I'm a big fan of testing value propositions with your marketplace. I'm a huge fan of the Lean Startup methodology, which essentially says, don't start with the assumption that you know what the marketplace wants and needs. Start with the assumption that you don't know what they want and need, and that you test your hypotheses, that you say, I think that these people will buy this stuff at this price, but I need to go out and test it. Right. When what you almost always find is it's not those people who want this stuff, and they really didn't want that stuff. They wanted something that was different, and they really didn't want to pay this. They wanted to pay something else for it. Right. And you learn so much. You can avoid hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of mistakes if you just start with the right assumptions and go to test your hypotheses.
And I totally agree with you. A lot of what my business does is the step before that. Which is the strategic planning and the buyer targeting and the customer research, and going in and creating buyer profiles and figuring out what these people want in as much as you can, so that by the time you hit the testing phase, you have some pretty good ideas, and you understand who these people are influenced by, and what their hot buttons are, and why they're buying from one company over another. It's often interesting. I see companies that are copying their competition, but they're failing. And, and it's not just as simple as copying your competitors. People have no understanding of who their buyers are. I love coming into a company. I came into a $100 million company a few years ago, and I said, well, who are your buyers? And they were like, well, they're people. They'll buy stuff from us. I was like, oh my gosh, you're killing me here. They had literally no sense of who their buyer was, and yet they'd been in business long enough, and they had enough repeat residual business that they had been able to grow to a certain level. But then they stopped. But if you're a small business and you don't know your buyer, and you don't know, really what their burning pains are, it's freaking hard to put the right message in front of them.
Yeah, amen to that. So you have to do that market research. Well, I have a question for you. And by the way, for those listening, David said I could ask him any question I wanted to. So here we go.
Awesome.
Decades ago, when I started in business, marketing was a lot simpler. All we had was TV, print, and radio. That was it. And you kind of took a marketing budget and you decided how much you were going to spend on TV and how much you were going to spend on radio and how much you were going to spend on print ads. Kind of created a budget and a calendar around that. Then came things like direct marketing, where we could send mail out to specific zip codes that may fit a demographic profile, enabled by computer technology and large databases. And then we started to see things like pay-per-click. Google really turned the marketing world upside down when they developed Google AdWords and the whole concept of pay-per-click. And then came along social media, which again turned it upside down and it almost became that you could hardly have an effective business unless you had some sort of a digital footprint, not just a website that they could go look up and see whether or not you were real, but some sort of an outreach, some sort of reaching people digitally through email, through social media advertising, through pay-per-click advertising, through whatever. So here's the big question for you, David. What's next? What's coming next? What do we need to be aware of that's coming down the road in the next year, 2, 5 years, that's again going to take the whole world of marketing and turn it on its head?
That's a great question. And the answer is I have no clue. And really, the type of marketing that I do is foundational and it's strategic. When a new technology comes onto the market, we'll try and validate it and test it and see if it works and see where the ROI might be. And even, in things like social media, which everybody is buzzing about, I'll tell you about 85 to 90% of the clients that I work with, when we walk in the door, they are not getting social ROI. They're doing all of this stuff. And in fact, some have a staff member or they have 2 staff members, and they are posting all this stuff on social media. They're creating all of this content, but it's not coming through to the bottom line. And so one of the things that I talk to my clients about is holding their marketing cash accountable, revenue accountable, and really looking at it and scrutinizing it and saying, is this increasing my revenue? Is this putting more money in my pocket or not? Because I've talked to a lot of companies that are dumping tons of money into social media and they're making no money. However, they make a few adjustments. They do a little bit of buyer research. They do a little bit of testing like you talked about. And they start to see, instead of just continuing to pump money into social media, they start to really get honest with themselves about what works and what doesn't. They cut out what doesn't. They do more of what works. And they continue to do this until they actually have a pretty powerful social media marketing engine. Now, if you're selling a product on Amazon, for example, social media may be far more powerful than if you're a CPA with a target audience of people from 45 to 65, for example.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. By the way, one of the things that I found out in running a consulting business for 17 years is that people don't go looking for their business consultant on social media.
Right.
They absolutely don't. You want to have some sort of a digital footprint, YouTube videos, blog entries on your website, etc., to establish a credibility and to do a little bit of outreach. But most of the marketing has to be done face-to-face through shaking of hands, through referrals and that sort of stuff.
Totally.
Pay-per-click ads trying to sell some sort of a business consulting product just don't work at all. So some products you can't even be marketed effectively on social media, I believe.
Oh, totally. Well, I get 100% of my business from LinkedIn, email marketing, and relationships. And relationships is 80%. Yeah. And sometimes a relationship begins on LinkedIn or it begins via email marketing, but it always comes to fruition on the phone, on Zoom, or face-to-face over a cup of whatever people like to drink.
Right.
Cool.
I would say that all 3 of us are in specialty consulting categories where we are solutionists for a particular area of business. And so for the 3 of us, our market comes from primarily referrals. But I have been involved in product businesses in the past, and those product businesses, are a completely different animal than what the 3 of us play in for our core business.
Totally.
And so when you're talking about people who are involved in a company that has maybe a technology product, such as an app or some software, or you're talking about a specific product, like let's say I'm wearing an Infuse Hydration hat here. Infuse Hydration is an outdoor product that I'm involved in that company and love that product, but it's a physical product tailored specifically to outdoors people. How would you or what would you recommend to companies that have some kind of a consumer technology or physical product? What should they be looking for in fine-tuning their marketing?
Jan, I think that's a terrific question. And honestly, to me, and just in my limited experience with marketing and running businesses, I found that it really all boils down to the thing that I talked about earlier, knowing your buyer, understanding, what their hot buttons are. I think that I think it comes down to understanding what's missing. A lot of the companies that are explosive, that grow incredibly fast, it's because they found a little niche with an underserved buyer. And they really, really, really understand that buyer. And yet I see a lot of companies that struggle and even fail because they kind of ignore their buyer. There was a company in Florida that they weren't a direct client, but I knew of them, and they had spent all this money on technology. And the CEO of the company had himself been in the same industry as his target buyers. And so instead of going out and doing his buyer research and asking people, what do you want, what's missing, the reality is he said, well, I am my target audience, therefore we're just going to go with what I think.
Oh, man.
And I see this all the time. And the truth is the company struggled and struggled and struggled and failed, whereas another competitor that had almost the same product as they did went out and they did all the buyer research. And they made like 30,000 phone calls, and they talked to all these different people, and they honed their product so that it fit perfectly into that little underserved niche where there was lots of pain, and they launched the product, and they just went crazy. And the truth is they were 2 or 3 years behind the company that failed with a very, very similar technology. In fact, I'd say it was about 98% the same, but the delivery was different. And so whether it's a bicycle or a hat, or B2B service or a food item, you got to understand who your buyer is and why they're doing X over Y. If you don't know that, fundamentally, it's impossible to create great marketing. I meet a lot of companies that are spending tons of money on social, digital, they're spending money on search engine optimization, pay-per-click advertising, and they're driving everybody to a crappy website that doesn't target the buyer and doesn't resonate. And so they're like, well, we have all these clicks and views and impressions and traffic, and we're number one on Google, but we're not getting any money. And I'm like, that's not good. That sucks for you. And those are usually pretty easy to fix, but I can't tell you the number of companies that do that, especially smaller companies. And they're like, well, I like my website. In fact, my nephew who lives with his mother built it for me on for Wix.
And it only cost me $300. So such a deal.
And I got my VistaPrint business cards, and this is good enough, right? And I'm like, well, you're going broke. Probably not.
I'd like to actually bring this full circle back to Ascending Harvest and basically echo something that you just said. Mm-hmm. I had designed our humanitarian product with many, many years of research under my belt around how our farming technology could impact people. So I had designed a product, but then as I started meeting with charities and asking them, what do you need? How is it going to be delivered? What are people going to grow? What do you need in the places you serve? What are you experiencing? And in asking those questions, it caused me to completely redesign the product and fine-tune the product, because we learned in that process that the product that I had designed, there were certain design criteria that I wasn't even aware of, even though I had researched hunger and nutrition and the issues of institutionalization and poverty and all these issues that I was attempting to build a system to address. There were certain questions that I didn't know to ask, and only by talking to our target audience, the actual charities that are going to distribute and support these systems, did I learn that, wow, there were some certain design criteria and distribution criteria that I had completely missed. And that has strengthened our product to the point now when we talk to a charity that's dealing with hunger and poverty, not one has said, oh no, we wouldn't we wouldn't have any value in what you're offering. No, they're asking us, how soon can we start delivering these systems?
Yeah.
So that's such a critical component, is to discover who your audience is, spend a lot of time drilling down to who your audience actually is, and then talking to those people and asking lots of questions. What do you need? Instead of thinking that you know what they need,
totally.
ask them what they need and have an open mind and be ready to go back and reevaluate and even reinvent your process or your product in order to serve that need.
So you nailed it on the head, in my opinion.
Amen. That was extremely well said. Well, marketing is, like I say, one of the most important functional areas within a business. It's one of the areas, and maybe the area, that's changing the most rapidly. As technology changes, it changes a lot. I'm expecting a lot of changes in the next 4 or 5 years due to the increased sophistication in artificial intelligence and, systems that can respond to you, like IBM's Watson, where at some point in time you really don't know if you're talking to a computer or you're talking to a person. And in artificial intelligence augmenting the normal customer service and sales function, where when you call somebody on a phone, they press a button and they automatically know a lot about you. Where you live, how old you are, whether or not you got any kids, what special interests, what groups that you're a member of on LinkedIn and Facebook. They just know a lot about you as if that they had been your best friend for years and years and years. That's really going to change the sales paradigm and the marketing paradigm a lot over the course of the next few years. It's going to be tough. Thank goodness for great people like David who can bring those years of experience, to the benefit of companies like Ascending Harvest and other companies out there as well. David, if somebody's listening to that and they say, man, I really like this guy, I need some of his stuff, how can they come get that? How do they get in touch with you?
Oh, well, you just go to foxcmo.com and call the number or fill out the form.
So Fox, as in chiefmarketingofficer.com.
Yep, just foxcmo.com. And if you fill out the form, I'll get it directly. And I'm actually always really super happy to talk to people. The first call really is just usually an exploration where I learn about them and what they're struggling with and what the challenges are. And so there's really no sales pitch ever. It's usually just an exploration of what are your problems and are these problems that a guy like me can solve? And if they're not, then I tend to try a big network of people that are experts at a whole bunch of different things. And I like to be able to send that person to absolutely the very best person that I know of that can solve their pains and their issues without draining them of a bunch of their money.
That is awesome. I love that attitude. I love that attitude of service. I remember it was just really a few years ago that the light came on for me, and the most important question that I started asking people was, well, what do you want to accomplish? What do you want to accomplish, especially over the next 90 days? What do you want to accomplish? Where do you want to be? What do you want to do? What do you want to have? And that really helps me serve people. When I asked Shane that question, it turned out to be, I want to feed the world. I want to change the way that people get their food, especially in developing countries and refugee camps. And I've invented a way to make that happen, and that's what Ascending Harvest is all about. So reach out to David at foxcmo.com, and if you haven't done so already, go to ascendingharvest.com. Sign up for our email list if you're in the Salt Lake City area, or hey, you want to fly in, go attend our launch party, which is happening on September the 19th, next Wednesday. If you're listening to this, anytime close to the time that it's recorded, join us for our launch party, participate in our crowdfunding campaign, help us help millions of people around the world escape the cycle of poor nutrition and poverty through empowering them to grow their own food. That's what we really, really want to do. One of the things that we love to do at the end of each one of these shows is give away one of our human-powered hydroponic systems. Every day I go download a list of the people who have signed up at our website and assign each one of them a random number. Shane goes to his random number generator, gives me a magic number, and we introduce the winner. Shane, what's the number for today?
Okay. 1175, 1175. There it is. It's showing up. 1175.
And the winner for today is a friend of ours that I actually talked to this morning, Jonathan Hallett of GoRevity.com. Gorevity. He is a fantastic illustrator, animator,
Yes.
cartoonist.
Good dude. It's good.
And really a great guy. Enjoyed talking to him this morning. He, by the way, is one of the many, many people who are contributing something to our silent auction on our launch party next Wednesday. So sign up. It only costs $25. You'll get a great meal. You meet a lot of wonderful people, and you'll have an opportunity to bid on fine services like David is offering, a strategy package that people are going to bid on. So you may have the opportunity to utilize his services at a great price. All you have to do is put up your $25 and come see us next Wednesday night and participate in the launch. So with that, David, any final words of wisdom on marketing before we say goodbye for the day?
Not really. I do want to just kind of make a shout out to you and Shane. From the first time Shane talked to me about this, he was focused on helping a specific person in a specific situation. And I'm a big fan of hand-up charity, much more so than hand-out charity. And, and I love the idea of empowering people to, live better, healthier, more fulfilled lives. And, I mean, hunger isn't something we really deal with in the United States, but my wife is from Eastern Europe. I've certainly seen what that's about, and there's just nothing more insidious than hunger. So I think what you guys are doing is amazing, and I'm thrilled to be able to help you in any way I can.
Gosh, thanks. Shane, your last comments, and take us out, buddy.
Thank you so much, David. We appreciate you. We appreciate you coming on the show and sharing your wisdom, and visiting with you and the times that we've got to sit face to face. I've always been impressed with how knowledgeable you are and also how low key and low pressure you are. You're just about helping people get to a better place in their business. And that's such a beautiful attribute to have, is just serving and solving problems. So thank you so much for coming on here and maybe shedding some light for a few people that are struggling with some things that they're dealing with in marketing. And we greatly appreciate your generosity and offering a package for people to bid on in our silent auction. Thank you, everybody who tunes into these, and we hope that you got some great information out of this one, because there was a lot to be had, and we will see you next time around. Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye. Take care.